Welcome to the Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans. The Spread is kicking off their baseball coverage this year with 7 top prospects that could make their MLB debut. Dash has got all the info. Easy's here for some commentary. I'm just here because I like to party.
Yeah, 7 prospects. We're going to go 1 from each position, just 1 outfielder, and we're going to do a starting pitcher. No relief pitching.
Good.
Relief pitchers are garbage.
That's right.
Well, usually it's starting pitchers that end up in the bullpen anyways.
Yeah, there's not a relief pitching prospect.
I mean, they're not top 100 prospects for sure, but they're out there. Cam Bedrosian, he just finally made his way to the back of the bullpen last year for the Angels, and then he went down like just a couple innings into his 9th inning role career. But I think he's going to come back and have a good season as well.
Every Pirate pitcher is a relief pitching prospect.
All right, already starting to hate on the Pirates. We didn't even get through one player this season.
We're gonna spread them, baby. This is where you're gonna get the top in baseball info on YouTube. No one else has this info.
Yeah, you go on YouTube. There's garbage.
You go to YouTube, you cannot get this information. So spell it out for them.
Hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out that Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. And if you're already here on YouTube, you better already click subscribe.
All right, let's start off here, and we're going to start off with the catcher, then we'll move around the infield and then do the outfielder and move to pitcher. And the catcher is Chance Sisco. He's the number 99 ranked prospect on MLB.com. He's a left-handed bat. He was drafted in round 2 of 2013 by the Baltimore Orioles. He's going to turn 22 here in a few days in late February. Now, first of all, I should say all these guys are non-roster invitees to spring training with their respective teams, along with Chance Sisco here. Now, this guy can hit. You look, in 2013 and 2014, he hit over 340 with a 400 on-base percentage in each of those seasons. He has a good walk rate, a good K rate. Now, that was in the lower levels. 2015 started the same way in A advance, but his numbers did drop off in 74 at-bats in Double-A. He hit 320 with a 406 on-base percentage in 410 at-bats in Double-A last season, though, before getting a handful of bats in Triple-A. He really didn't do much in AAA. This guy has little power. He has 18 career home runs in the minor leagues. But like I said, he's just a pure hitter. And from the catcher position, that's hard to find. Look, he's hitting 323 with a 402 on-base percentage, 163 walks compared to 245 Ks in 1,291 career minor league at-bats. And if you look at the Baltimore Orioles, they have Wellington Castillo right now and Caleb Joseph as their 2 catchers. That Matt Wieters is still unsigned. There's a outside chance they re-sign him, but it looks like he could go somewhere else, maybe somewhere like the Nationals. But Wellington Castillo, they just brought over in free agency from Arizona. Neither one of these guys they have on their roster right now are long-term options for him as a starter. Chance Sisco, he has that great bat. Now, he's still in the minor leagues because he has to work on his defense just a little bit. He's not Francisco Cervelli type defensively, but offensively, he might be a little bit better than Cervelli, but kind of the same type of player where you're not going to get a lot of pop out of him, but he's a guy that can get on base and hit for average.
If Baltimore's going to true up their team, catcher could be a possibility. If you got some deep prospects there, it sounds good.
Yeah, Chance Sisco is actually a guy I've been watching for the past few years now. My buddy Anthony, we run a team together in a dynasty fantasy team. And he's probably sick of hearing his name already because I've been talking about him for the past 3 years.
Does he come to the plate with the thong song playing?
I do not know. We'll have to wait and see, man. But it shouldn't be long. I think he is going to make his debut sometime. I wouldn't think it's going to be in September. I think it's going to be a little bit earlier than that, unless they end up signing Matt Wieters. The first baseman I am going to go with is Dominic Smith. Now, he's ranked number 63 out of the top 100 on MLB.com. He is a lefty as well. He was drafted in the first round of 2013 by the New York Mets. He turns 22 in June, so he's still a young guy as well. He was a highly regarded prospect going into the draft. and he kind of got off to a slow start. He was able to hit, but this guy was expected to have power as well. Now look, he hit 301 with a 398 on base percentage and 173 at bats in rookie ball in 2013, but just 3 home runs, although he did have 13 doubles, which isn't a bad number for that amount of at bats. But then in a full, he hit 271 with a 344 on base. Still not bad in 461 at-bats in 2014, but just 1 home run compared to 26 doubles, which still isn't a terrible number. But those home run numbers, 4 home runs over his first 2 seasons, they were expecting this guy to be at least a 20 home run guy, maybe a little bit more than that. Now, in advanced in 2015, his hitting was still there, 305 with the 354 on base and 456 at bats. Still just 6 home runs, although he hit 33 doubles. So you can see he has the power. He just hadn't turned it in to the home run power quite at that point. But last year in Double-A, he kept his average up, 302, had a 367 on base percentage, and he had 14 home runs and 484 at bats, along with 29 doubles as well. He has excellent plate discipline, 162 walks compared to 263 Ks in 1,574 minor league at-bats. So this guy is kind of like a... Josh Bell's ranked higher than him right now as a first baseman, but Dominic Smith is a much better defensive first baseman than him. Now, offensively, they're kind of similar as well. They both take the walk, they can both hit for average, and they kind of took a while to get their power stroke going in the minor leagues. And I expect Dominic Smith to do the same thing. And when he makes his jump to the majors, be able to hit, in his prime, I'll say 20 to 25 home runs over maybe a 4 or 5 year stretch, something like that. You look his career minor league numbers, 294 average with a 360 on base. There's no reason to think he can't do that in the majors as well. Right now, they have Lucas Duda as their starting first baseman. This guy has shown some good things over the past, but I still don't think he's a long-term answer. James Loney, they let go. I forget where he went at this point. Seattle? I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. No, the Texas Rangers is where James Loney is right now. But Dominic Smith could turn into a James Loney type player if he never does realize that power potential, and that's not the worst thing in the world. All right, let's move on to the second baseman here, and that is Ozzie Albies. He is the 11th ranked.
Say Ozzy Osbourne.
No, not Ozzy Osbourne. His name is Ozzie, and he is a shortstop, but they're actually moving him over to second base. And I'll tell you why in a second, but he is the 11th ranked prospect on MLB.com. He's a switch hitter. He was signed back in July.
So is Ozzy Osbourne.
Wait, what? A switch hitter, Ozzy.
He plays both ways.
Anyways, Albies was signed in July of 2013 by Atlanta. He recently turned just 20 years old. Now, he's a little bit smaller. He's 5'9", 160 pounds. But like I said, he's just 20, so he should be able to put on a little bit more weight here as he gets into his mid-20s. Now, he can hit as well. 310 average with a 368 on base percentage or better through Double-A. So when he was in the lower minors and even through Double-A, he was always hitting well. But he had a little bit of trouble last year in 222 at-bats in Triple-A. He hit 248 with a 307 on base percentage. Still, he had a 292 average with a 358 on base percentage overall last season between Double-A and Triple-A in 552 at bats. His walk and K rates didn't drop in Triple-A though, so that is a good sign. All he really needs to do is get the balls to drop in a little bit more, and we could see him in the bigs sometime soon. Although they did just trade for Brandon Phillips from the Cincinnati Reds, so that may push his timetable back a little bit. You remember they signed Sean Rodriguez as well, but now it looks like he's out 3 to 5 months after that car wreck. They also traded for Micah Johnson from the Los Angeles Dodgers, another guy that was top 100 prospect. I think it was just last year, and they have Jace Peterson as well. So they have a bunch of options at second base, but Albies is the long-term solution alongside Dansby Swanson at shortstop, and that's why they moved Albies over from shortstop to second base, because Dansby Swanson was one of the top 5 prospects in baseball going into last season. Debuted last year and had a pretty good showing in limited at bats, hit over 300 and had a very good on base percentage. But Ozzie Albies, he has speed as well, a career high 30 stolen bases, although he did only have 9 stolen bases in AAA last season and did get caught 4 times. So he is going to have to work on his base running a little bit. But he is very good defensively. He can hit for average. He has speed. The only thing that he really doesn't have is too much pop. But he is going to be a very good player, and I could see this guy making a couple All-Star appearances.
And he's starting his 2017 season off with a little bit of an injury here. He hurt his elbow in last year's Double-A playoff run. So with that addition of Brandon Phillips, I mean, it's going to allow some time for him really not to get pushed. They're not going to have to push him onto the field. So right now he's in a little rehab
stint.
Yeah, he's in a little rehab stint. And 5 months. Well, he had to have surgery. He's 5 months removed from elbow surgery, and he's a little bit behind. But obviously, like you said, Brandon Phillips helps that out.
Speaking of injuries, today we heard that St. Louis Cardinals top prospect Alex Reyes, who made his debut last season and looked very good, may be out for the season. He may be having Tommy John surgery.
Brutal.
All right, let's move on to third base here, and that is Matt Chapman. He is ranked number 100 out of the top 100 on MLB.com. This is the only pure right-handed bat in these 7 prospects. He was drafted first round in 2014 by the Oakland Athletics. Now, he's a little bit older. He turns 24 in April. Still a young guy, but a little bit older than everyone else on this list. Now, he really didn't do much in his first taste of pro ball in 2014. But he had 23 home runs and 21 doubles and 304 at-bats in a advanced in 2015. He had 39 walks compared to 79 Ks, though. That's what led to his 250 average, although he did still have a solid 341 on-base percentage because he can take the walk, but he strikes out way too much. You look in Double-A last season in 438 at-bats, he hit 244 with a 335 on-base percentage, has that big power, 29 jacks with 26 doubles, but is still striking out way too much. And if you look last season in Triple-A, he did have 7 home runs and 76 at-bats, so that power is for real. But look, 197 average, 282 on-base percentage, so he's going to have to improve on those numbers before he gets the call. And if you look, he had 68 walks compared to 173 Ks and 514 at-bats between the 2 levels, Double-A and Triple-A last season. So he really got to try to cut down on the strikeout rate, and I think that's going to be his downfall in the bigs. I don't think he's going to be able to hit for average because he's going to strike out too much. He may be able to take that walk because he does have that big power, and people are going to be afraid to pitch to him. But his average is going to be low. He's going to be kind of like maybe a Pedro Alvarez type player. Who else does that?
Did you just reference Pedro Alvarez? Come on now, man.
Yeah, come on, man. Dude, does he even on a team?
Dude can't even throw the ball. Does he have a team right now?
I don't know if I think the Baltimore Orioles are still in talks with him at this point.
Well, I'm sorry, but how did Pedro come up into this?
Just the type of player Matt Chapman is.
Because of the power.
He has power. He strikes out a lot. He can't take the walk. His average is low.
Okay, well,
I think that's going to be the type of player Chapman is. Although Chapman's right-handed.
My sources are telling me he's kind of versatile in the field. He actually made some starts at shortstop last year.
Yeah, he played third base and a little bit of shortstop. So, although he had 5 errors in 10 games as a shortstop.
Hey, but I like.
If anything, he'd be moved over to first base, I believe.
Right, but at least he can play. He's got to be strong defensively. And you're making errors.
Oh, he's really good defensively. I'm not talking he's exactly like Pedro at all defensively, really. I was just talking about his offense. Defensively, he's really good. That may be the best part of his game. In fact, he improved drastically last season. In 2015, he had a .922 fielding percentage. Last season, it was .973. But if you look, they signed Trevor Plouffe to a 1-year deal, so that's their answer at third base this season. They also have Ryan Healy, who debuted last season. They're probably going to play him at DH, and they also have Yonder Alonso at first base. They got rid of their third baseman from last season, Danny Valencia. They traded him over to Seattle, so he may not be making his debut soon. It might be a September call-up or something like that. But, yeah, I think he is a Pedro Alvarez type player or a Chris Davis type player, a guy that can hit a bunch of home runs for you, but he's going to be striking out a lot and not have that great of an average. But, yeah, he's better than obviously better than Pedro defensively, but I think he's better than Chris Davis, too. He is more versatile, but he's not a shortstop in no way, shape, or form. Like I said, 5 errors in 10 games last season. All right, let's move on to shortstop here, and this is probably the best player on this list, and that is J.P. Crawford. He's ranked 7th overall by MLB.com, another lefty bat. He was drafted in the first round in 2013 by the Philadelphia Phillies. He's a young guy. He recently just turned 22 years old. And the best part about this guy, his best attribute, is his plate discipline. Look, 232 walks compared to 243 strikeouts in 1,560 career minor league at-bats. This guy was a complete beast through advance, but his average did drop off since he hit Double-A, but they've been pushing him through the system really fast, so that really doesn't worry me because he still is taking the walk, and he's so young. I think he's going to grow into some power as well. You look in Double-A in 2015, though, in 351 at-bats, he only did hit 265, but he still had a 354 on-base percentage. And the same thing in Double-A last season as well, in 163 Double-A at-bats. He had a 265 average, but a 398 on-base percentage because he has such great plate discipline. In 336 at-bats in AAA, though, he hit just 244 with a 328 on base percentage. But if you look combined between AA and AAA last season, he had 72 walks compared to 80 strikeouts in 472 at-bats. I could see similar results to Francisco Lindor offensively, just offensively. I don't think he's quite as good as Lindor defensively, although he does have great range. He doesn't have as much speed as Lindor, but he has great range, great footwork, a strong arm, so he's definitely going to be able to stick at shortstop. But offensively, I compare him to Lindor. Now, he is bigger. He's 6'2", 180 pounds. Lindor's a little bit smaller than that, but Crawford is a guy. He's been moved through the system very fast. I think just like Lindor wasn't hitting 300 when he was in the upper levels of the minor leagues because they were moving him so fast. And his power wasn't really shown yet. I think J.P. Crawford's going to be the same way. When he hits the bigs, though, gets a little bit of time playing in the big leagues, he is going to add some power. You look, he had a career-high 11 home runs in the minor leagues. I think he can get up to 15 in the majors in a good season. Crawford has decent speed as well. He had a high 24 stolen bases in the minors. I don't think he can get that high in the major leagues, though. But I could see something similar to Lindor, maybe a little bit under 20 stolen bases, but somewhere between 10 and 15 home runs when he hits his prime. You look, he's a career 278 minor league hitter with a 372 on base percentage. Right now, they have Freddie Galvis at shortstop, so that he's not blocking him at all. As soon as J.P. Crawford can raise that average a little bit up from 244 in AAA last season, if he can hit 270 for a little while, I could see him getting the call to the big leagues.
It's all about youth in baseball. I read an article today that says everybody's afraid of the luxury cap or luxury tax all of a sudden. So there's going to be a slew of young guys getting brought up earlier to be able to try to afford some of the superstars' big salaries.
Yeah,
a trend in baseball, I guess.
Yeah, the New York Yankees
predicting.
started to go that route. They realized that spending all that money just hurts in the long run, so they kind of shifted the way they run things out there, and it's going to pay off for them here pretty soon.
The Giants don't even want to extend Bumgarner right now because he's got a pretty team-friendly deal.
Yeah, that makes sense, Ian. It's tough with pitchers because he's been pitching a ton late in the seasons, well over 200 innings. He could definitely go down with an injury, and if you sign him big, that hurts. All right, let's move on to the outfielder here, and that is Austin Meadows. He's ranked number 10 overall on...
I knew you were going to sneak a Pirate in here somewhere.
Well, he's the best. He's the best outfielder you're going to see this season for sure, because there is Andrew Benintendi. Now, this is a list of guys who are going to make a debut. Benintendi made his debut last season. He's still a prospect out there in Boston, but like I said, he already made his debut. There's Victor Robles out there in Washington. I think he's still a little bit young. I think he's another year away still. Austin Meadows is definitely the best outfielder that you should see this season. He was drafted in the first round in 2013 by the Pirates. He turns 22 in May, so he's still a very young guy as well. You look in 2013, he hit .316 with a .424 on base. In 2014, he hit .317 with a .394 on base percentage. Between those two seasons, he had 10 home runs in 341 at bats, which isn't terrible. He had 26 doubles, which is very good. 7 triples, which is very good. 48 walks, which is a very good number, and 79 strikeouts. That may be a tiny bit high, so he has to work on that a little bit, and he has improved as he got into the upper levels of the minors here a little bit. In 2015, and they advanced, he hit .307 with a .357 on base percentage. He had 7 home runs and 20 stolen bases as well. In Double-A that season, he only had 25 at-bats, but he hit .360 with a .429 on-base percentage. So he hit well through 2015. And in 2016, it was the same thing. Double-A, he hit .311 with a .365 on base, had 6 home runs and 167 at-bats, along with 16 doubles and 8 triples, added 9 stolen bases as well. This guy pretty much is... the only thing keeping him from a 5-tool player is his arm. He doesn't have a very strong arm. It's more accurate than strong, but he's good defensively. He has the speed. He's going to turn into probably no more than a 25 home run hitter. I wouldn't see him going over that at any point, I don't think. But last season, when he got called up to AAA, he got injured shortly after, and when he came back, he never really got a go, and he hit just .214 with a .297 on-base percentage, although he did have 6 home runs and 126 at-bats, so it looks like his power did start to come around there late in the season in AAA, and he added 3 triples as well, along with 8 stolen bases. So this guy is a good base runner, not just fast. I mean, he is fast, but he's not a speed burner, but he's a good base runner as well. But you look in his career in the minor leagues, 1,182 at-bats. He's a .300 hitter with a .368 on base, has 29 home runs, but more importantly, he has 75 doubles. So you can see he at least has that gap power, and 25 triples as well. So although his home runs ain't there, he's hitting a lot of extra base hits at this point. And 124 walks compared to 230 Ks is a good number as well. And he has that speed as well. Like I said, 43 stolen bases. Now, in the outfield for Pittsburgh right now, it's a new look. You got Marte in center. You got Gregory Polanco in left. And you got McCutchen in right. And you'd think Austin Meadows is McCutchen's replacement here at some point. In fact, the Pirates said they're still open to trading McCutchen at this point, although I don't see a deal getting done before the season now. But at some point, they're going to move on from McCutchen, you'd have to believe. And Josh Bell, he's still a question of first base defensively. If he doesn't turn it around, they're going to probably move him to the outfield. So there's a little bit of talk that Austin Meadows could be moved to first base if Josh Bell never really figures it out. But that's down the line. I don't think that's really going to happen. I think Josh Bell will be at least all right. He'll never be great defensively or anything, but I think he'll come around. So I think it's going to be Austin Meadows in right field eventually. I don't think he'll be moved to left field. I think it'll stick the way it is, and Meadows will move to right field. But he's a center fielder as well. So was Polanco, so is Marte. They're all center fielders, but I think it would stick with Polanco in left, Marte in center, and then Meadows in right once McCutchen goes. But the thing is,
almost left this year. Could have got him in there right now.
Yeah, I don't want him in there right now. Even if we would have got rid of McCutchen, I don't think it would have been smart to just throw Meadows in as the starter opening day. I think he needs to get a little bit more time in AAA. Like I said, in 126 at-bats last season, his first taste of AAA, he hit just .214 after coming back from an injury. So I think you want to give him more time in AAA, even if McCutchen was gone. But it's going to be tough to get Meadows in if they don't find – I mean, if the Pirates are winning this season – at the deadline, it's going to be hard to trade a guy when you're winning. Now, if they're not winning, it's going to be a lot easier to get rid of McCutchen and put Meadows in. But if they're in the playoff race at that point, it's going to be hard to try to find Meadows some playing time, because he's not a guy you want to bring up and put on your bench if you don't have to.
Their outfielders in their system are screwed still. I mean, they're just going to have to keep progressing in AA, AAA, and stuff like that. Because 3 people in the outfield right now ain't going nowhere, especially if they're winning.
Yeah, we'll have to see, though.
So easy.
Things change quick. You never know. We didn't see Liriano being traded at the deadline last season. All right, let's move on to the last guy here, and that is a starting pitcher, Francis Martes. He's 20th ranked overall on MLB.com. This guy is a righty, 6'1", 225 pounds. He was signed in November of 2012 as an international free agent by the Miami Marlins, but he was traded to Houston along with Colin Moran and Jake Marisnick at the 2014 deadline. He turned just 21 this past November, so he's a young guy as well. He started to meet his potential and move through the system pretty fast in 2015. It took him a few years, but in 2015 he took off. In a full, he allowed 33 hits, had just 13 walks along with 45 Ks, a 104 ERA, and an 088 whip in 52 innings pitched. They moved him up to A advanced. He allowed 31 hits, just 8 walks compared to 37 Ks in 35 innings pitched, had a 231 ERA and a 111 whip. And again, they moved him up to AA pretty quick. Now, he did start to struggle in AA. I mean, he was young. They were moving him really fast that season, so it's not a big surprise to see him struggle. He had a 491 ERA and a 177 whip in 14.2 innings. But in 2016, when he had a full season in AA, he took off again, a 330 ERA, a 120 whip, and 125.1 innings pitched, allowed just 104 hits, and had 131 Ks. Now, his one problem was he did have a little bit too many walks. 47 walks and 125.1 innings is a little bit too much. It's not a terrible, terrible number. You can get away with it, but you do want to see that come down a little bit. He had 28 walks and 101.2 innings pitched in 2015, so you can see he took a little bit of a step back there. But still, he allowed just 9 home runs in his minor league career in 321.1 innings pitched. So he keeps the ball in the ballpark, and he has everything he needs right now. He has 4 pitches, a fastball that can hit the high 90s. He works more mid-90s. But he has a very good curveball as a second pitch. He's improving his changeup right now as a third pitch, and really that's all you need. But he does have an average slider as well. You look at the Houston Astros. They have Dallas Keuchel, Colin McHugh, Mike Fiers, and Lance McCullers as their 1 through 4. Now, Jim, I know you love their number 5, and Charlie Morton. That is the guy he's going to replace at some point this season, I would have to believe. But I was looking at the Houston Astros, man. I really like this team. I could see them winning the division this year. I like what they got offensively. I know you hate Charlie Morton in a rotation, but this guy has pitched in a rotation that has made it to the playoffs before, and as a number 5 with these other guys in the top 4 spots, I see no problem with it at all. And with Francis Martes in the minors, they can obviously replace Morton anytime they need once Martes shows he can pitch in AAA, or who knows, maybe they don't even pitch him in AAA. Sometimes they move him straight up from AA. I'd have to believe he starts this season at AAA, though, gets a little bit of time. If he pitches well early, maybe they replace Morton before the All-Star break. If not, maybe it is later in the season. It all depends. But I'm loving the Houston Astros this season. I would have to say, if I rank these guys on this list, J.P. Crawford, the shortstop, would be number 1 for me. Austin Meadows would be number 2. Let's see here. Maybe, I don't know. I like Chance Sisco, man. They ranked him number 99 on MLB.com, but I think this guy is going to be able to hit in the bigs, and he's going to be good enough defensively. I think there's a good chance he's going to be a good player. Ozzy Albies, maybe, ranked number 3. I don't know. It's tough after the top 2, though. J.P. Crawford, Austin Meadows, obviously the best 2 players here, and then it drops off after that, I think.
Now, out of all these prospects, which one is the least likely you think that we won't see this year, possibly?
The most likely we won't
Yeah,
see.
like let's say, for instance, one of these out of these prospects, which one do you now, barring like an injury, let's just say because of personnel on these teams, which one do you think is the least
likely we'll see?
right?
That would be the second baseman, Ozzie Albies. Like I said, they just brought over Brandon Phillips after signing Shad Rodriguez. They have Jace Peterson, Micah Johnson. They have a bunch of options here. Ozzie Albies is just 20 years old at this point. He's still young. They moved him through the system pretty fast, and it looks like he's about ready. He's already defensively for sure, and offensively, I really don't see anything wrong with him. So he is about ready. And maybe work on his base running a little bit if you want to do something in the minor leagues. But really, he seems almost ready to me, but they have so much in front of him. I don't see him rushing him. Maybe they move him to an outfield position at some point, though. You can always do something like that as well.
Pitchers and catchers had to report already, dude. It's in full flow now, dude.
Please believe.
Lame.
I can't believe how time flies. This is the dead zone in sports right now. Like the headline is women's college basketball. Yeah, dead wrong.
Oh yeah, Dash's best friend was talking about the UConn women about winning 100 games in a row and how it's beat.
Who's my best friend?
Mark Madden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. It was like I heard a couple sports talk guys say if this was a men's team winning 100 games, it would be chaos. You know, there'd be people watching every second of every game. The women 100 games, all right, it's UConn. I mean, like, that's what they do.
People just don't care. Women's sports does not have the same appeal.
But in the dead zone time here of sports, we will keep you warm with hot topic baseball, baby.
Here, I'll say one other thing before we wrap this up. The guys we're most likely to see first, I would think, is either shortstop J.P. Crawford. I think he's about ready. If he can hit at the beginning of the season, I could see them calling him up pretty early. And Francisco, I think Wellington Castillo and Caleb Joseph aren't going to get it done at catcher for Baltimore. And Baltimore, I think, wants to compete. You remember last year, halfway through the season, they were leading that division. Everybody was saying they were going to win it. They fall off a lot in the second half of the season over the years. That's a team that falls off a lot. And I think they're going to want to compete this season as well. And I think Francisco can really help them do that.
Get money.
That's it. Wrap it up, man.
Fans, any questions or comments, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimtowin. Come to our Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to YouTube and click and subscribe. Maybe I can even talk Dash and doing mini prospect articles on our Facebook page. Although I don't think he's been there in over a year.